Forbidden love. Long time ago, in the vast and beautiful kingdom of Tapa, there was a great tradition that had been followed for generations. In this kingdom, marriages were not born out of love or choice, but through the decisions of families. Each person's future was planned from birth. Families chose who their children would marry, and no one could question it. Everyone believed this was the only way to keep the peace and order of Tapa. But not everyone agreed with this tradition. In the quiet village of Soko, there lived a young girl named Amani. She was about 16 years old, with bright eyes and a gentle smile. Amani's family was poor, but they were well respected for their skill in making the finest pottery in all the kingdom. Every morning, Amani would help her mother shape clay pots on the wheel, her hands expertly molding the wet clay into beautiful shapes. Though she worked hard, her mind often wandered to dreams of adventure, of love, and of a life where she could choose her own path. Amani had a kind heart, but her parents had already chosen her future for her. She was promised to a wealthy merchant's son from a distant village, a man she had never met. Every time she thought about marrying a stranger, her heart sank. Meanwhile, far away in the dense forests of Tapa, there lived a boy named Toby. Toby was strong and brave, the son of a hunter. His family provided meat and animal skins for the kingdom. Toby had spent his entire life learning how to track wild animals, to be swift and silent in the forest. But despite his strength, Toby had a gentle spirit. He loved the sound of the birds singing in the trees and the peacefulness of the forest. Toby too was promised to someone, the daughter of a fierce warrior from another tribe. It was supposed to be a marriage that would strengthen the bond between their families. But Toby had never even spoken to her. The thought of spending his life with someone he didn't know made him feel trapped. One day, fate brought Amani and Toby together in the bustling marketplace of Tapa. Amani was there to sell her family's pottery, while Toby had come to sell the skins his family had collected. As Amani was setting up her stall, one of her clay pots slipped from her hands and fell to the ground. Just as it was about to shatter, Toby, who was passing by, quickly reached out and caught it. Their eyes met. For a moment, the noise of the busy market seemed to fade away. There was something between them, a spark, a connection, something neither of them had ever felt before. "Thank you," Amani whispered, her heart beating faster. Toby smiled shyly. "It's nothing. I'm glad I could help." From that day on, they found ways to see each other, meeting in secret by the riverbank, away from the eyes of their families. They would sit beneath the old Iroko tree, talking for hours about their dreams, their fears, and their love for each other. It wasn't long before they both knew they couldn't live without one another, but their love was forbidden by the laws of the kingdom. As the days went by, the pressure of their arranged marriages grew stronger. Amani's family began to prepare for her wedding to the merchant's son, while Toby's family spoke more and more of his upcoming marriage to the warrior's daughter. The walls of tradition and duty were closing in on them. One evening, as they sat together by the river, Toby took Amani's hands in his and said, "We can't keep meeting like this, hiding in the shadows. I don't want to live a life without you, Amani. I love you too much." Amani's eyes filled with tears. "But what can we do, Toby? If we disobey our families, they will never forgive us. The whole kingdom will come after us." Toby was silent for a moment, looking out at the setting sun. Then he turned to her, his voice steady. "We run. We leave this place together. We'll find somewhere far away where we can be free, where no one can tell us who to love." Amani's heart raced at the thought. It was dangerous. They would be outcasts, hunted by their own people. But deep down, she knew she couldn't live without Toby. "I'll go with you," she whispered, "wherever you go." And so, they made their decision. That night, under the cover of darkness, Amani and Toby packed what little they could carry. Amani took her favorite clay pot, the one she'd made as a child, and Toby took his father's old hunting knife. They met at the edge of the village, their hearts pounding with fear and excitement, and began their journey into the unknown. The chase begins. The next morning, when their families discovered they were gone, chaos erupted in the village. Amani's parents were furious. They had worked hard to arrange her marriage to the wealthy merchant, and now all of that was ruined. Toby's family was equally outraged. Their son had disgraced them by running away from his duty. The village elders and chiefs were summoned, and a search party was quickly formed. Yin Tapa, disobeying family and breaking the sacred marriage laws, was considered a great crime. The kingdom could not allow such rebellion to go unpunished. The king himself ordered that Amani and Toby be found and brought back to face justice. Hunters, soldiers, and even bounty hunters were sent out to track them down. Amani and Toby didn't know they were being hunted, but they could feel the weight of the world on their shoulders. They traveled far, through thick forests and across wide rivers. They slept under the stars, their only shelter the trees and the sky. But no matter how far they went, they could never fully relax. They knew their families wouldn't stop searching for them. Life in hiding. Weeks turned into months, and Amani and Toby were still on the run. They moved from place to place, always trying to stay one step ahead of the hunters. They lived in caves, drank from streams, and ate whatever they could find. At first, the thrill of being free kept their spirits high. They had each other, and that seemed like enough. But as time went on, the reality of their situation began to sink in. Life as outcasts was hard. They had no home, no community, and no way to live comfortably. Amani missed her family despite everything. She missed the smell of her mother's cooking and the warmth of her father's voice. Toby too began to wonder if they had made a mistake. He loved Amani deeply, but he was tired of running, tired of looking over his shoulder every day. There were nights when they would sit in silence, the weight of their decision hanging between them. Sometimes they would argue. Amani would cry, wondering if they would ever find peace. Toby would try to comfort her, but he too was filled with doubt. "Maybe we should go back," Amani said one evening, her voice barely a whisper. "Maybe we should face whatever comes. At least we wouldn't have to run anymore." Toby looked at her, his heart heavy. "If we go back, they'll separate us. We'll never see each other again. I can't live without you, Amani." The wise old woman. One day, as they rested by a river, an old woman appeared before them. She was dressed in simple clothes, but there was something wise and powerful about her. Her skin was dark like the earth, and her eyes seemed to see deep into their souls. "I have been watching you, children," the old woman said in a voice as soft as the wind. "You have come far, but your journey is not over. Love is a powerful thing, but it is not enough to fill an empty stomach or keep you warm in the cold." Amani and Toby were silent, unsure of who this woman was or what she wanted. "You must decide," she continued. "Will you keep running, or will you face your past and fight for your future?" With that, the old woman disappeared, leaving them alone by the river, the return to Tapa. The old woman's words echoed in their minds. They knew she was right. They couldn't keep running forever. If they wanted a future together, they had to face the kingdom and the rules they had broken. It was a terrifying thought, but they realized they had no other choice. And so, with heavy hearts but strong spirits, Amani and Toby made the decision to return to Tapa. They knew the risks. They could be punished, or worse, separated forever. But they were determined to speak their truth, to stand up for their love. When they arrived in the village, the people were shocked. The whole kingdom had heard about the runaway lovers, and now they had returned, walking straight into the hands of those who sought to capture them. Standing up for love. The village elders and the king gathered to hear what Amani and Toby had to say. The air was thick with tension as the couple stood before the crowd. Amani's hands trembled, but she spoke with courage. "We did not run to bring shame to our families," she said. "We ran because we believe in love, and we believe that love should be a choice. We want to marry each other, not because we were told to, but because we choose to." Toby's voice was steady as he added, "We know the laws of Tapa are old, but maybe it is time for change. Maybe it's time to allow people to marry for love, not just for duty." The king and the elders listened in silence. For a long time, no one spoke. Some of the elders were angry, believing that Amani and Toby had disrespected the kingdom's traditions, but others were moved by their bravery and their love. Finally, the king stood up. "You have broken the laws of Tapa," he said, his voice firm but thoughtful. "But you have also shown great courage in returning here to face us. Your love is strong, and it has opened our eyes to something we had not considered before." He paused, looking at the couple. "While the laws of the kingdom will not change overnight, I will allow you to marry one another, for your love has proven to be true. And perhaps in time, the kingdom will learn to embrace the idea of love as a choice." The crowd gasped in surprise. Amani and Kofi were free to be together, and their love had begun to plant the seeds of change in Tapa, a new beginning. From that day on, Amani and Toby lived in peace, no longer running, no longer hiding. They built a small home near the river where they had first fallen in love. Over time, their story spread throughout the kingdom, inspiring others to question their old ways and to believe in the power of love. Though change came slowly to Tapa, the kingdom was never the same. Amani and Toby's love had sparked a new way of thinking, and their bravery was remembered for generations to come. And so, their story became a legend, a tale of forbidden love, of courage, and of hope.